Present to others, Ms. Cassandra Brown.
Great job, Miss Manning. Great job.
Thank you.
So Grand Rising, it is always a pleasure. Thank you for sharing space and time here today to honor our great ancestor warrior, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Disclaimers. 1, when I'm asked to serve in this manner, I go before the Lord. I don't ask him for a black word and I don't ask him for a white word. I ask him for a human word, for open hearts and open minds. Number 2, time is a man-made construct that I rarely take any interest in. So how about everyone here today help me out? When my time is up, you just jump to your feet, give me a standing ovation, and we can call it a day from there. I stand before you today on the shoulders of giants who have played an integral part in the woman before you today. First, my mother, Jacqueline Brown, has served the Marion County community for many years, whether it was in the union, NAACP, or her nonprofit, Flip Flops, families with loved ones in prison, families of loved ones out of prison. She's also served at the Ocala Housing Authority, where she's made her career. Also, my godmother, Dr. Gwendolyn Dawson, who through her vision of home ownership and affordable housing has served the Marion community as well as the executive director of the Ocala Housing Authority. And there were so many others, but I would like to speak shortly about my grandmother, Margarita Terrell, who has since gone on to be with the ancestors. She was raised right here in Lake County by our uncle, Virgil Hawkins. That name might mean something to someone in the room.
That's cool.
She had churches, she owned stores, but most importantly, she always had scriptures. Scriptures to put on your under your pillow if you were had a court date coming up, or scriptures to tuck in your shoe on the way to an interview. She had receipts. Lord, did she have receipts? Receipts of her service that continued to come after she had transitioned. She was a pen pal to many incarcerated brothers and sisters throughout the country, and their letters continued to come even after she passed. My Lord, talk about a village. So pray, if not for you, for me. Lord, thank you for creating me in your image. Help me reflect your values in how I treat others in my words here today, and help me to see the worth of every person. I pray for those who are suffering from injustice. Show us how we can partner with you to help bring justice and peace. Ashe. The heart of the battle. Where is your heart? Let's talk about the heart of the battle. It's the space where our deepest struggles and our greatest hopes collide. This isn't just about the wars we fight out there, but about the dis-ease we carry within our bodies, our communities and organizations, our churches, and even within the struggle where you think your allies ought to be. Dis-ease, the accumulation of toxins, of hurt, of judgment, and of othering, of closed-mindedness. We must release that hurt if we're ever going to be free. And we simply cannot be free out there until we're free in here and in here.
Yes.
And this dis-ease isn't just physical, it's also economic. It's the harm caused when just 2 weeks out, millions of Americans didn't know if they would have food for Thanksgiving because of a government shutdown. Literally playing chess with the lives of others by holding food hostage. It's the anxiety of lost jobs and shrinking opportunities. The fight for injustice and freedom will not look the same for each of us. it'll look differently because it's shaped by our histories, by our wounds, by our resources, our fears, and most of all, by our faith. But the war, the final goal, remains the same: justice and freedom for all. Free to just be, free to be free from boxes, from judgment, and from the need to police each other. These battles on the outside are real and relentless. But what happens when we finally step back inside our own homes, our communities, our own circles? Too often, after fighting so hard against injustice out there, we come home carrying weight, and the struggle follows us in. We find ourselves facing another kind of battle, one with each other. Sometimes we even become the oppressors. We box each other in, we judge, and we close off. So I have to ask, where is your heart in the battle? Is it open or is it armored and closed off? You see, healing demands focus, and our focus must be on the work ahead. Freedom isn't just about letting go of pain, it's about choosing where to put our energy. We owe it to ourselves and our community to guard our attention. Every minute spent on gossip or outrage is a minute stolen from the fight for justice. We must decide where to put our energy. I know, let's put all of that energy into dreaming. Dreaming like Dr. King dreamed. And oh, did he dream. Let me ask you something. What are you daring to dream for our next generations? What are we seeing and envisioning differently for them? What seeds are we planting? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it inferiority, discord, anxiousness, and limitations? Or something greater? Our ancestors, Mother Harriet and so many others had to carry the vision of us all being free. What vision for tomorrow do you carry today? Ancestor Mamie Till and Matilda's mother dreamed big, bodacious, and black that one of the hardest decisions of her life would change hearts and minds across all races, all times, ages, and all humanity. Let's be clear. We, the children of dreamers who were never meant to survive, are not just building for tomorrow, we are building for 2125 and beyond. When most people talk about buildings and investing in infrastructure, they mean bridges, brick and mortar, and broadband. But we know for our communities, infrastructure is more than just concrete and cables. It is memory, it is legacy, it is about our history and our contributions, our language, our culture, creativities, ideas memorialized, resistance, and radical, unwavering love, even in the midst of a US of A, not as in us, but as in they who are now drowning themselves in their own hate. We must stop and ask ourselves, what good is a bridge if our babies can't read the signs? What good is a hospital if we can't afford to heal and our black mamas and babies don't make it home safely? Our books, so many of which are banned now, our stories, our songs, our archives, and our intellectual inheritance. Infrastructure means reclaiming our libraries and museums, owning our data, and embedding Black brilliance into every textbook, classroom, and scroll of the internet. If we are not authors of our future, we will be erased.
That's right.
Our ballots. Voting isn't just a right, it is a design blueprint. It decides who gets clean water, whose children gets meals and Medicaid, where streets are paved and where they are left to crumble. The ballot is not just democracy, it is infrastructure. It is belief, and belief must be protected and expanded. There's every effort being made to suppress our votes. Our bucks. Black economic infrastructure is power. We need land trusts, cooperatives, spaces where our dollars work for us and not against us. We need multi-generational wealth plans, not just fundraisers. We need reparations and land return written into the DNA of our budgets. And let's be clear, this is not just theory. Between the assaults on DEI in both public and private sectors and the attack on civil service, the impact on Black employment has been dramatic. Over 300,000, I'll repeat that, 300,000 Black women lost their jobs from January to August of 2025, while white men and women saw job increases. It's in the numbers. Our community is being targeted and left vulnerable, and that's why building our infrastructure is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. warned us, nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Are we willing to take a moment to examine our own hearts for these poisons? Are we willing to do the work to break free, not just from the boxes we put others in or put on ourselves, but also those around us? Black dollars deserve to live, not in someone else's economy, but in one we build and own. Credit unions that know our names. Money that moves like blood through a Black body politic, nourishing us instead of draining us. Let me remind you, our ancestors weren't just dreamers, they were engineers. They built cathedrals with grief carved into resistance into the bedrock of a country that tried to forget them. We're not constructing efficiency, we are constructing eternity. Let our children's children know that we did not just protest, we planted. We didn't just survive, we constructed legacy. So don't waste time gossiping about the latest ignorant thing Trump said on the news. There's too much work to be done. There's no time for shooting the breeze. My great granny Sugar used to say, I don't mess with anybody. But when I'm stuck in the corner, I'm like a cat and I'll come out swinging. We are in the fight of our lives. We're fighting for health care, for food security, for affordable housing and living wages, and bodily autonomy. We're fighting for our democracy. We are fighting for our lives. The great late Joe Madison taught us that the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. I know about sacrifice. You see, 3 years ago, my uncle was gunned down in the streets of the neighborhood where we grew up, and where several of my immediate family members still reside. And although my heart wasn't in it, I stood up and I fought anyhow. I stayed on the battlefield. So again, I have to ask you, what are you willing to sacrifice for this current civil rights movement? Not just your comfort or your time, but your silence, your fear, your willingness to go along just to get along. Are you willing to sacrifice your seat at the table if it means standing up for someone who's been boxed out? Are you willing to risk misunderstanding to be the one who says no more boxes? Not for me, not for you, not for anyone. A bit more on these boxes. Not just the boxes we put on each other and on ourselves, but the ones this country draws on maps and into harmful legislation. When we talk about who belongs and who is allowed to be free, who gets to be safe, those are boxes too. The immigration crisis is a crisis of the heart. It's about who we see as our neighbor, as our kin, and as our responsibility. I recently heard a woman say, makes you think, is there really any such thing as borders? Like, who makes this stuff up, right? Also, it made me think, those same boxes that are being used to keep others out could one day be used against us to keep us in. A Vietnamese saying is that when a father eats too much salt, the son drinks water. Again, what are we doing now for our future generations? Dis-ease is the mental and emotional harm caused due to Medicaid cuts and Head Start and veteran services. It's the stresses of redistricting that erases your community's voice. The anxiety of seeing our community members and family members busted apart by ICE-sanctioned kidnappings. It's the exhaustion of always being the one to show up, to organize, to heal, even when you're running on empty yourself. But healing is possible. It starts with truth-telling. It starts with refusing to be boxed in by borders, by fear, by other people's comfort. It means showing up for each other, sharing food, sharing stories, sharing the burden. It means voting, yes, but also holding each other through the hard nights, the empty pantries, and the uncertain tomorrows. And wait, there's even more boxes. The box of religion that tells you who is worthy and who is not. The box of money that says your value is tied to your bank account. The box of love that tries to tell you who you're allowed to care for and how you're allowed to show it. I urge all of you to break free of the boxes. My friend May once asked me, weren't you taught to color in the lines? And I ask you today, who told you coloring in the lines is the only way? Breaking out of those boxes gave me permission to do what others are afraid to do, to dream beyond what others could even imagine. That's how I found myself in Russia, even when folks said don't go because there's no black folks there. That's how it's how I ended up stuck for hours at the top of Mount Table in Cape Town, Africa, during a bomb scare, praying that I'd see my children again. It's also how Downton Abbey and Bridgerton came to life for me in London, and how I got caught in the freezing rain on a double-decker bus in Paris. It's how I earned my master's and law degree, even when folks said I couldn't because I had too many children. Disregarding those lines and boxes and borders is what got me to where I am today. Dr. King said our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So I ask you, what matters enough for you to break your silence? What matters enough for you to sacrifice? This is how things have always been done. Or sacrifice your place at the table. Are you willing to be a part of a movement and not just a moment? Where is your heart in the battle? And finally, community is the antidote to dis-ease. We need spaces where we can heal and release toxins, where we can be vulnerable and real. Again, the fight will look different for each of us, but the purpose is the same. Let's not become the very thing we're fighting against. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Rumi. So Rumi is inviting us to imagine a space out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, a place where usual judgments, binaries, and moral labels fall away. In this field, there's a sense of unity, a sense of peace that transcends arguments about what's right and what's wrong. It's a metaphor of a spiritual openness, compassion, and deep connection, where souls can meet without barriers, and where the complexities of the world become less important than simply being present. When the soul lies down in that grass the world is too full to talk about, it suggests that in this state of spiritual surrender or unity, words and labels become unnecessary. The fullness of existence, of love, and of connection is so profound that it can't be captured by language. So for those of us who value intentional living, this is a call to let go of judgment, of self and of others, and to seek that deeper field of understanding and unity in faith and community. Again, may God and the ancestors guide our hearts towards justice, freedom, and true community. May God and the ancestors be pleased with my service here today, for it is by His grace and by their perseverance that I am standing here. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
All right.